So let me give a small brief the data that we had. So we are planning to do an agroforestry project.
Yes.
And in this agroforestry project, we want to get households that would like that will have fruit trees and other agroforestry trees, and also they can invest in the energy saving devices around Kakamega Forest.
Yes.
So initially we just had week 1, week 2, week 3. So it was scheduled to take 10 weeks. But now for the sake of our study, I've introduced the start date and the duration date and the duration. So I went and I inserted the table, the chart. So this is what I got after inserting the chart. But the problem I had was with the start date. So it's starting on November 4th and ending on August 28th. But it's supposed to be the other way around, starting from August 28th to November 4th.
No, I understood that. That's not a problem. What happens is it has been inverted. When we use that, they normally inverts. The last date becomes first, and then it goes like that. Yeah, so the dates has been inverted here, down there. But then in the Gantt itself, contract negotiation was the first tax because you are able to reverse the order, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
And now you give your projects a title. Give it a title. Yes, give it a title.
Okay, so I've given it agroforestry project around Kakamega Forest.
Yes, that's beautiful. That's good. So now we begin from this particular, if at all we are going to what we call the WBS, then the title becomes our level 1. As we need now to understand the core component of what we call the tax that we are supposed to do. What we are seeing here has been the smallest, the work package. We have been decomposed it to the least level. So when we talk about contract negotiation, now we definitely can be able to assign the number of days the contract negotiation will take us, and perhaps the resource, the person who's going to do for us the contract negotiation. Anytime that we decompose a project to an extent where we can easily now assign responsibility and the tax, now that simply now we call it an activity. An activity now is what we are transferring to our Gantt chart in the times when we are doing planning. When we behave like this, everything of the project becomes easy, because you look at, for instance, we want now to project what is the cost of this project. We simply analyze each and every activity on its own, like contract negotiation. What cost are we going to incur in that case? Then we sum that. We come to scooping and literature review. Is there any cost corresponding to it? Yes, we sum that, and then we give the cost equivalent of even for the internet. Then we come to preliminary meetings and reconnaissance. Yes, all these, any meeting, at least we must be able to provide even some snacks and also some meals. So we have to budget for that. And that meeting involves stakeholders. If it involves stakeholders, then there may even be allowance of stakeholders when they are leaving the meeting. So it means, therefore, we can be able now to assign any cost corresponding with the facilitators for these meetings, and we know how many people will attend. We are sending out to attend the meeting, so that we budget for them. Where is the venue? We are going to pay the venue. We are going so it becomes more easy for us to be managing project when we behave in this manner. And in case of any time that you have been called by one of your executives to explain for them your preparedness, then this is what you share with them. Just have a small PowerPoint presentation explaining a schedule of activities that you are going to be engaged in, and also explaining the preliminary preparedness for any of the tasks, and do you have all the resources at least to do the task. Then in case anywhere where you have not been prepared, like for instance, field data collection, if at all the field data collection, even the questionnaires has not been set, then you bring it to the attention of the executives. You tell them that, okay, in field data collections, we need iPad. We need 60 iPad. We are going to recruit what we call research assistants to train them at this particular venue. And after that, they will assist us in collecting the data. And the data mostly are going to be collected. It's going to be a kind of like an interview. But then because these field assistants are locals that can be able to, we are even going to the extent of, sometimes we even go to the extent of translating those questionnaires to the local language, if the field assistants can be able to do. So now we are going to the details of the tasks we are going to do, and we comprehensively, we can be able to present it anywhere where we call. Now, such kind of arrangements are expected for every project, and we must be able to discuss with your team thoroughly this preparedness of the plan before you go there to the field. We are just talking about such that in case of any risk associated with the task that you are doing, you must be able to discuss together the contingencies, or not the contingencies, but the mitigation measures that you're going to take. Such that, and well written, the mitigations must be well written, all risks must be properly highlighted, and after that, their corresponding mitigations are also discussed, such that if at all it occurs, then we just go to what we planned to be able to reduce its impact, so that at least in nutshell, we are going to deliver the project that we planned for. So it becomes very easy for us to manage projects when we have these kinds of understanding. And that's why at the planning stages are one of the most important steps in a project. But this is the step that most people fear most. They don't want to get involved in this. When people see a schedule like this, they think that is supposed to be done by engineers. All engineers, especially the ones that are doing the constructions, they must produce this. They normally adopt, very few of them use what you call Excel, but they use MS Project. They use it. So you can be able to, even if at all is any construction, you can be able to see this plan broken down into these small units. And it is a requirement, this is a technical area, it is a requirement for all of us to learn about how we can be able to use WBS to break down tasks, so that we end up with the smallest unit where we can assign the resources. And after that, we can have a schedule like this. And this is the basis of communicating. I will call, as a project manager, I will call my team. I explain for them these tasks. We discuss, we agree, and I sign what you call our next training. We are going to perhaps also learn. I will try to inquire from I'm not the trainer, but I will inquire from the trainer, because there is a conditional formatting. Now, the conditional formatting of Excel involves, you can use it to do a Gantt chart. But when you are doing a Gantt chart, you are going to use what we call interactive Gantt chart. An interactive Gantt chart, where you assign even the responsibility of the people who are going to do task A are going to be included here. And it's just like an interactive dashboard. Yeah. So that when you are there at the presentation, when you only click and they say, this is the person who is going to be responsible for this. This is the number of days you will take. The resources are aligned for this already in place, or we have already done an order, or the procurement process is already complete, or the procurement process will be done next week. So those are how you talk. You talk, it is definite. You talk something you know, and because there's pre-arrangement before we begin. pre-arrangement. These are the preparations that are required. And that's why planning is supposed to direct us. When we go to the implementation, we are simply now putting to action the plan. And when we put action to the plan, the most important thing is checks and balance to ensure that at least everything is running as per the plan. If anything is not able to run as per the plan, then we come to the review of the plan and try to look at how best or how else best on the ground can we be able to achieve this. So now it means in every project, we must have what we call some briefings and don't bore people with constant meetings. Yeah, so I think that is very good, Leonard, for that presentation. And I think now you're even, it has come out very, very nice as opposed to yesterday's case. You can look at it. And I will be even more interested if at all now we are integrating, we want to know the cost for contract negotiation, aligning, adding cost to the Gantt chart, and also adding what we call personnel who are going to be in charge. We don't add all the personnel, but now the person in charge on scooping and literature review, the person in charge in field data collection, the person in charge in data processing and analysis, the person in charge in report writing, the person, so remember, I'm giving people's responsibility, and I, as the project manager, I will be the overall. So every person will do your task, but you report to me so that I do a review. If I find that things are not done well, then I tell you that can you be able to do the following, or we can add more resources in the field data collection process so that we enhance it if it is already late. So look at that. We can do what called fast tracking, or we can crash by adding more resources to a given task so that it can still be delivered, regardless of the fact that the first 3 or 5 days is delayed. We can still ensure that we conserve the 10 days duration that we had planned by simply adding more resources. That is the work of the project manager, to be in same level of how things are happening in my project. And if you behave like that, these are very powerful too for tracking our progress, which is very important during the time we are doing what you call project implementation. And now, the most important thing during the implementation stage I've talked about is monitoring and control. We need to do what you call, we planned this in terms of budget for data collection. How far are we with what you call the data collection process? Then a person just clicking this plan will be able to just know we introduced license. So we are able to know we are 60% done with the data collection exercise. We are 100% done with contract negotiation. So the percentage of what has been done can also be integrated into this particular schedule so that it's being used. And when we talk about interactive, it can be used, it can be shared with all other stakeholders so that at their finger points, when they open up their laptop, they can just click and look at what we call where we are with regard to the project that we are implementing. That is you are creating a smart system of communicating with the entire stakeholder, as opposed to the traditional approach where we are writing what's called status report. So the current status report is a system where we create a platform where we can collaborate, we can communicate, and we can coordinate with all the teams that are involved in executing the project, or all the people with interest to it can be able to at least be brought into the system, like the MS, not MS project, but Asana has that capability of incorporating the communicating, coordinating, and sharing information with the entire stakeholders, even if at all they are offline. Like most of the projects, some people are there in the remote areas, but still we must be able to know exactly what is happening at those places that are on the remote, so that you as the project manager, you are in a place which is not remote, and you are coordinating all the people in the field. And at the end of the day, you already know how these schedules are supposed to be adjusted, especially with the work complete, work not yet complete, and work complete on the daily basis. That particular kind of report you require, because regardless of what is happening down there, you are the person controlling them at the head office level. And therefore, you unless you don't need to go there to the field, your people are there representing you and doing the work, but giving the feedback so that we can be able to at least track our progress well to complete that project as per the plan. Okay, so that's good. That's exactly what I wanted. And I'm really encouraging because Leonard was able to share the screen yesterday. He had some small challenges on the kind of work that he was doing, but now look at this. Now the one that he has brought now after, because this is a real project they are doing on the ground. Now look at this one. This one he has able to do a very nice Gantt chart. Yeah, and that is exactly that I wanted. At least this becomes output for all of us, that each and every one of us is capable of doing this particular kind of work using what you call the Microsoft Excel. We have not gone even to one day, perhaps we shall come up now to bring in these other softwares like MS Project and etc. But you start with this Microsoft Excel. So once you've already done this, the others you can even learn on your own. Just going and looking at even those presentations, how others are doing it, and you just do it because you've already known the basic of how this scheduling is done. Remember, when we are in the textbook, we schedule using what we call PAT and CPM, Project Evaluation Review Technique. That is purely for the academic, the certification, people who are doing the certification. You will be expected to do what we call forward pass and backward pass, calculate all those clerks. But then for work, because this is a professional training which is geared towards work, and like the academic one or the certification one, therefore we only reach this Gantt chart, because Gantt chart now is for work, application direct, or MS project. We can also draw the Gantt chart in MS project, or we do it in Microsoft Excel. But now, Excel has this is a simple one. But when we use what we call conditional formatting, where we have to learn in the advanced Excel, then we now come forth to use conditional formatting to still also draw the Gantt chart, but now bring in elements like cost, bring in elements like, and bring it to be interactive and a Gantt chart, interactive Gantt chart. Yeah, this is like a static Gantt chart, but then the interactive one may also come when we bring in, first of all, you must be able to be trained on that conditional formatting in the Excel. That is, after that is when now you use it now to come up with what you call the Gantt chart. Otherwise, now we can now change, you can stop sharing so that I can share with you a bit of the summary of today's class before we can be able to call it off. So you can now stop sharing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so thank you. So I think most of you have already seen what Leonard has done. That's very good. So you also check the project where you are, do this so that at least when it comes tomorrow, you can share with us. Even if at all you're a student, you need to share with us the plan, how you're going to do your project. Well, that's just a project. Life is all project. And if you apply principles and concepts of project management in anything that you have in terms of the project that is before you, you'll try to see that your success rates increases. Because project involves strategy. Project involves tactics. So those tactics of implementation, in the implementation, the main thing there is applying strategy and tactics to be on top in terms of conserving your cost, in terms of timeline, and also in terms of maintaining that at least the scope is not interfered with. So let me just begin a review of our day 4 session. Day 4 session, okay. Day 4 session. Okay, I start with this diagram. Trying just to explain the various stages of projects. We a review of what we have exactly done before. That often most of the projects, especially if they're social projects, we begin from what we call a thinking stage. This is where perhaps there's a problem that we want to solve. Now, when we want to solve a problem, it's very important that we map that problem. Mapping the problem require you to bring in the stakeholders in one room and conduct what we call a problem analysis. Problem analysis is very critical in every project that we must be able to perform it. And when you are performing it, you also document it. When documenting the main problem, you start by telling us the main problem. Okay, the main problem maybe it is the increased rate of HIV/AIDS among the teenagers. That is the main problem. Now, that is something that at least we need to address as concerned people. So now we need to call the teenagers, we call also the parents so that you can be able to analyze what are the causes of this. So we map the causes. After mapping the causes, we also now try to ask ourselves, what will happen perhaps if we don't intervene? And when we are going to write the report, we must also talk about other people who have attempted to address the same issue or know any other person has already attempted it. Then after that, we talk about the effect. Then that is just what we call as problem statement. Look at the way I'm trying to summarize for you problem statement in a very brief way. It's all about the main problem. Then after that, you bring in the causes. This problem has been caused by the following. Yeah, and we talked about the other time that every problem must be properly be evidenced. We must be able to provide evidence of the same. There's statistical reference to support it. Because you are writing to convince somebody who is not close to you. So you must be able to bring in the evidence. So after the problem statement has been mapped well, that's when we begin the planning and scheduling process. So now we bring, by the time I'm coming to the planning, I transfer those problems to be solutions. Bringing them, those causes, we now try to convert those problems positively. We make them be a positive statement. And then I will come up with the objectives of the project. So every project must have these objectives, very clear. Objectives are positive statements that we are aiming to achieve. And immediately, those objectives will be the centers of my projects that I will develop. Perhaps every objective, I will be able to anchor it with a project. Because in order for you to meet one specific objective, it simply means that you must commission a project to intervene so that you can be able to realize that objective. Now, and in order for me to meet every objective, you are supposed to do what? You're supposed to have strategy of meeting it. And that specific objectives, I will put a plan, a schedule on how I can be able to achieve that objective. So now, if at all I have 3 objectives, then perhaps I will have one big Gantt chart trying to highlight how to achieve objective 1, objective 2, and objective 3. Because that's simply like 3 projects that will assist us to be able to meet those particular, each and every objective. Look at that. So I may even end up with 3 different Gantt charts. For objective 1, there's a project on its own, objective 2, a project on its own, objective 3, a project on its own. But then I will have to combine them together in one Gantt chart. Since now, as the project manager, that's like now I'm a program manager, because remember, 3 projects, it makes it to be a program. Okay. So after this stage, there is also that specific stage of data collection. Data collection, we are using data collection to conduct what we call situational analysis. To be able to understand my problem better, it's better I conduct data within the stakeholders. Yeah, and we don't want to interfere with the other system of that we learned of the initiation, the planning, the implementation, then monitor and control, and then the closer of the project. That particular scene is always with you. Every program, you must be able to have that in your mind, that process group, planning process group, how it is running from the start. From the start, I do what we call identify the stakeholders. Let me have stakeholder register. Conduct matrix influence power of each and every stakeholder so that you can determine the level of your engagement with each stakeholder that you have highlighted in your register. Then go direct to come up with a charter. Under initiation, only 2 aspects are supposed to be done, mainly in the initiation charter. But remember, even before you come up with the charter, there is that particular section that when we begin the planning the project, first of all, let us understand the problem that we want to solve very well. Yes, the problem must be diagnosed, and that simply require the stakeholders who are affected with the project problem, let them come together to tell us even the genesis of how the problem began, their coping mechanisms. When you call people, then those are the questions you try to ask. Now, this problem since it began, how have you been trying to address it? Because human nature has been in that they try to invent their local mechanisms of trying to address the problems facing them at any time. You as a specialist in project, those coping mechanisms are part of what you must document for us. And then tell us the gaps in the coping mechanisms, why you require us to intervene. Yes, because we not only need to solve where there's a real problem. If people are coping so well to an extent that they don't need us, then why should we get involved? So the coping mechanisms, and that's why when you are documenting problem statement, you must be able also to tell us exactly other people who have over the past tried to solve it and why they were not able to succeed. And also now tell us your new approach to strategy, your new strategy that you feel is fit enough to eradicate that problem once for all. That simply illustrates your level of research. To what extent have you gone in investigating this particular problem? And when the problem has been mapped properly, there's a case for us at least now to begin now doing what we call planning. I'm going very deep, please. I'm really going very deep in analyzing what you call problem statement or need statement in the project. Because without this properly mapped, we don't have a case to go forward, at least to go to the planning stage. So we must be able to do that baseline survey that will be able to map for us the situational analysis on the ground, bring in the beneficiaries onto a room, let them discuss. And as they discuss, you also have your guys with the cameras, you are taking notes of those discussions. Some of the problems perhaps have no any other reference documented out there. Since we have to produce evidence of the problem, some of the problems we want to solve may not have evidence. And when they don't have evidence, please, our cameras focusing on the people talking about how that problem has affected them is our evidence. And we'll just try to upload that particular video and share the link with the people we want to support the program as evidence, in case you don't have evidence, which simply means any problem must be mapped and it must be supported with evidence. Whether there are no evidences in terms of literature or not, we have to create a proper evidence using what you call the videos and cameras and upload those either in the YouTube and then share the link with the responding team who are supposed to review the work that we have done. Then after the problem properly mapped, cause-effect relationship has been identified and a statement highlighting the problem has been made, then we move to the planning stage. And that planning will involve us generating the objectives. And objectives is not difficult to, the goal, first of all, is our goal. And the goal, now you just go to the problem and you do it with the team. You go to the main problem. If the main problem was increased rate of HIV/AIDS among teenagers, a teenager is somebody of 13 years and 19 years. If that is the case, but remember in that case, we also have evidence from the nearby hospitals and schools, clinics. If that is the case, then that main problem must be made to be a goal. And our goal is now reduce. It was increased, now it is, we change it positively. It's now to reduce HIV new infections among teenagers or school-going teenagers in the next 5 years. So it simply means our project duration is going to be 5 years. Then that is now our goal. It was the main problem there, but since it was increased as a problem, now we have brought it to be reduced. It's like now our target. So we talk about, and in that case, we are required now to know the baseline. What is the status? What is that rate currently? So that we can have a goal, which we are talking about. We are reducing it from this level to this level. It is 27% among new infections among teenagers. 20 is at now 27. It simply means that 27%, where have you got it? Perhaps it is not us who did what you call the survey, but this is data from the local ministry health department. So we pull it from there, and that's what we use as a basis of developing our, it is our baseline. So we move it. In the next 5 years, we want to move it from 27, at least let it come to even something like 13%. We want to make an impact of a reduction of this magnitude. And in order for us to succeed, now we are going now to develop our objectives. Now in the objectives, we shall now talk about now the strategy of meeting every objective in the work plan. And that's where the planning comes in. We develop the work plan using the Gantt chart. And now it involves a matter of strategy of reducing this increased HIV/AIDS among new infections among our teenagers. So it becomes something very smart. So the principal concept of project management is really applicable for solving problems in our society, for even coming up with a product. That is how we address. Yeah, it's same approach. So after that, we simply come to the implementation, and then there we are celebrating our success at our last output in that level. Now, when we come down here, we realize that there is a relation between the project objectives. Cost is a function of performance and time and scope. So the budget that we are supposed to develop of our project is a function. When somebody says that cost is a function, can somebody tell me what does it mean? Cost is a function of PTS. Those who at least did economics or mathematics, can you tell us this? When I talk about X is a function of Y, or Y is a function of X, what does it mean? There's a direct relationship between these two, which simply means increasing, if increasing one of the parameters inside here definitely may be able to affect the cost. Let's just move to the explanations you look at. Cost is a function of F. Cost is a function of performance. P, time, and S is scope. As P and S increases, cost generally increases. That is, there is a direct proportionality between cost and these other variables in that equation. The relations between time cost, however, is not linear. It simply means a linear function is where we are talking about increasing this or decreasing. When there is an inverse relationship, then you simply increasing cost is supposed to affect the other ones to come down. But when there is a direct relationship, then we have increasing the cost. What happens? Increasing time in the project, what will happen? You have to increase cost. Increasing the scope, you have to increase the budget. In the duration, if the duration is certain, which normally occurs, especially when the project is late or the stakeholders say that no, we have a very important meeting that we must be able to attend to ensure that before 30th, please, this project was supposed to be complete on 5th next month. But since from 1st until 5th, we shall be having a general meeting and we expect to attend. So please, can you ensure that this project is completed on 30th? So what do you do? And remember, it is the key stakeholders who gave you the work. So you don't have any other things to do until you must be able to crash your project, fast track some activities, and then you can be able to add more resources to some of the activities, especially the ones lying on the critical path, so that you shorten up the duration of the project. It's often necessary to pay premium labor. That's what it means by shortening up. You pay premium labor as a consequence of shortening the project duration. Bring in even consultants who are going to be dedicated to a given task to reduce the timeline. Further, worker errors often increase when you put them to work excess, overtime, and etc. Their errors rate increases, resulting in the cost of correction. And all these will simply shift the cost, the budget upwards, as you are trying to compete with shortening the project duration. So as you are pushing things in hurry, productivity declines. That is the general rule. And this productivity only declines because of people are fatigued, people get sick, worker error rates increases, and quality declines. So in the process of this, things done in hurry are not actually producing the best outcome. That is what the mathematics is talking about. Let's look at the human side of project management. And this is what the core component in the project implementation stage. This is where we are managing the human resources. But then the management of the human resources all start from the recruitment stage. Factors affecting the success of the project. Number one, you must have the right people. Once you have the right people with the attitude, sometimes skills may not be there, but they have the right attitude. Skills we can train. If they are trainable, we only need to check their CVs to look at if at all there are people who can be trained. These things that we don't know, we can learn, we can train, but attitude sometimes becomes very difficult to change. Yeah, if a person is nagging, ever complaining, such kind of people, it's very difficult, even if at all you give them which kind of add even salary to what magnitude, tomorrow they will still continue to complain because that is an attitude. So try to bring in people with the right attitude and mix with professional ability to learn fast, because we don't have a lot of time to take people for trainings when they come back. No, that time is not there. We want those tasks to be delivered. So as the project manager, you will be the one who is doing the training. It can even be morning training hours. You do the training almost on a daily basis, especially in places where it simply means you must be smart. If not you, then you must identify one of the smart guys in the team to at least be able to doing the training on your behalf. The right type of management, it means now you. The way you are going to manage projects is not the way you manage operation processes. You have to be on top of your game, especially when it comes to managing the stakeholders. You have to be on top of your game when you want to managing the team. How do I get the best for my team? How you motivate them? Actually, in the project environment, there needs to be a lot of motivations that we are doing to our team. And inquiring from them their challenges, have an open door policy where they feel free to visit you, to tell you what is not in the right direction. Don't encourage gossips and etc. Yeah, some staffs are actually toxic. They like gossiping others. So you cannot entertain that in the project environment. And in case somebody bring you any gossip, the first thing is to bring the person you gossiped together, they be together, and then try to tell them that, now, can you explain what you're saying? After you have done that, you are going to stop such kind of behavior completely in your organization. That's how to do it. Yeah, discourage elements of gossip. Because if you are a manager and then you start entertaining gossip, it's going to be too much. And later they will turn against you again. Because now, a staff that is going to try to please you, that is the best. No, everyone has mistakes. let's try to be accommodative, especially in the project's environment. We need to be accommodative as much as possible. Accommodate all those people and explain to them that even after all they are drunkards, I've already brought them in. So I just tell them, if you have to drink, please, not during work days. Try as much as possible to do it over the weekend. Yeah, you are not going to preach to them so that they leave drinking. No, you only need to tell them that, oh, can you drink responsibly? And if possible, if at all you are drinking, can you do it off the weekends? Yeah? And even those weekends, if they have done a good work, it is you to take them for those celebrations and they will be drinking. You buy for them those things that they drink. And then you tell them, after you've drunk, please, Monday, come sober to the work. It simply means if it is drinking time, let it be Saturday. Because we don't want to compromise those tasks. We are so much serious in delivering that project in the next 40 days. Everything must run. And in case they don't run well, then I have to substitute immediately. Somebody calling me that at least my housemaid left at night and I'm not able to report today because my child, I have to look for somebody to remain with my child. Imagine there's nothing you can do. You have to give that stuff off. But when it comes to the task that he was solving, you have to look for the person who is going to be responsible for that now. Sometimes the person calling you that lady never planned for the housewife, the housemaid, to leave at night. That is like emergency. So you already thought about what will happen for me in instance of staff sickness or cases like what you have already. You are bound to find such cases as the manager. And don't tell the staff that that's up to you. I want to see you. You know that what the task you are handling is so important and you are going to cause a lot of mess if you don't come. So please, regardless of the housemaid left you, can you, that is your personal issues, don't bring for us in this company. Can you come to work? You don't behave like that. That simply means you're not a human being. So we have to accommodate them. There is those emergencies. And during the planning, we must be able to plan for such emergencies and how you'll handle them. Which means you have some standby people. During the time that you are recruiting, you'll have almost some excess to do for us replacement of such emergencies. We want things to run the way we have. And we must be able to approach it in a more flexible way, friendly with my team. I have to be friendly with them. I have to encourage them, at least in case they have any challenge at the desk of what they are trying to solve, they are free to visit my office. We discuss way forward. I commit even resource towards improving the performance of what he has brought to me, which means they need to see me to be offering solution, not complicating their matters further. Because anytime that a staff approach you in the office and then you discourage or you quarrel, you will go and tell 10 of them. And that's the last time. No one will ever come and report to you if at all they're meeting any challenges. So that's how serious is it on how your people management skills needs to be something very excellent to avoid instances where staff are feeling discouraged, they don't want to work, they cannot report to you the experiences, the challenges they are experiencing, they cannot come to you because you behave as if you are not a human being. No, we have to remain human being, but also remain more friendly. If it calls motivating them, please do so. And any excellent work done, please, can you be able to see a way of rewarding that so that they know that, okay, excellent performance being rewarded by our project manager, just for the sake of encouraging excellence all throughout, cutting across all delivery of every task there. Good, so let's move from that. I think I've already exhausted that component of the human. And remember, this is on core to the implementation, because it is during the implementation stage where we managing human beings are involved, because we are delivering, we are translating the plan into action. And it is the people that are going to be responsible for doing that, together with the machines. And the machines are, we have the technical guys trying to monitor the machines that they are operating efficiently every day. In case they require oiling, at least they're going to be done. Repairs are done, not waiting until at least the machines break down. We do repairs as checkups. With cars, they normally do what you call, you take your car for a checkup, not necessarily that your car is not doing well, but just for ensuring that the efficiency of your car is good. So that's exactly how we are going to do with the machines that we are using in the project environment. Yeah, if you are using those big machines for the constructions, please, they just need to be monitored often, not necessarily that they are in a bad state, but that for the sake of, we don't have breakup, because any breakup is going to bring delay in the task that was supposed to be done. And therefore, to avoid that, is proactive approach is very good, where you don't go for problems of already occur is when you try to solve. We do preventives, like the preventive. Can I be able to check those cranes that they are efficient, everything is okay when they are operating? After some intervals, 3 or 4 days, they need to be checked. They need to be checked. There are people standing by. Their main work is only to check, to ensure that at least some small repairs or maintenance can be done. And that's how at least I can get the best from those machines or the processes. Even if computers, that is the same manner and approach. Exactly. That's going to be very beautiful. Let's move to the next slide so that we look at beyond the human beings. We shall also deal with the next slide is about steps. Okay, now this is steps. I will pass this because these ones I've even talked about it. These ones I've also talked about it. So I will just pass it. Plan the projects. Yeah, these ones I've also talked about it. I will monitoring, control the progress. Yeah, unless progress is monitored, you cannot be sure you will succeed. It will be like using a roadmap to reach a destination. So control and monitoring the process is very important. What are you expected to do as a manager? If deviation occurs from the plan is discovered, you must ask what must be done to get back on track. Or if that seems impossible, how the plan should be modified to reflect the new realities that have emerged. And that's why the so-called plan must continuously be changed, modified to meet areas that you cannot be able to undo. So there's replanning during the time that you are doing the implementation of the program. And what brings it forth is the control and monitoring of our processes. If we find that this one we cannot be able to change, then we have seen that we have to absorb it, because this is the reality. It's not as per the plan. When we are planning, we were not able to in touch of the reality. There are some realities that needs now to be incorporated to be the true scenario. Therefore, we bring them into the plan and consider it to be part of the plan. So we continue planning, modifying the plan. We don't plan and then put them somewhere there. Even engineers, they always, when they go to monitor the progress of the project, they have the plan. They check the plan versus what has been delivered, and they have to compare. So the plans are there, and sometimes the plans will require modification. Like during the implementation, you just realize that content of the plan cannot be achieved. So what do? And we realize that in order for us to move with that task, the reality is this. So can we be able to go and do modification to the plan so that we matches with exactly what is there in the reality? Or sometimes even I change, someone has brought a change that at least we have already accepted to be true. Therefore, that change will require at least replanning a bit of it. If it was, I wanted another room for library and my computer studies, but that library in the initially, I never provided for that room. But I've just realized that my life is too much of academic, and therefore I need a study room in my house. So what do? I tell the engineer. So what will the engineer do? Engineer will go and create in the plan that section for the study room. And the engineer will tell me, okay, in order for this study room now, I will have to add some cost to meet it. I need this much. I need $300 or $500 for this study room to be incorporated. Yeah, it means the change that I've brought forth is going to be planned. And after being planned, I will have to add extra amount of money to cater for this a new additional change that was not there in the initial plan. That's how we expect to behave. Yeah, projects are done by contractors. Don't expect contractor, after a final agreement on the cost that is supposed to be paid, to use his own money to deliver what was not initially there in the plan. The contractor, where will the contractor get the money? So you must add additional amount for the change that you're trying to request to be seen there. And that's only possible by modifying what you call the plan. Control and monitoring the progress, it only will make us be able to match, do such changes. Project execution is the process of implementing project plan, translating project objectives into action, allocating resources, and coordinating activities. Okay, strategy, the approach being used to the project to deliver. Every objective will have to develop strategy of delivering it. Tactics are the steps taken to implement the strategy. So differentiate these two, strategy and tactics. Tactics are the steps we take to implement the strategy, while the strategy is the approach we are using to deliver the project. And then finally, I talk about closing the project. So in closing the project is very important and fundamental. It is this stage where we definitely celebrate our success. We hand over the project to the people who will be able to take over it. We develop even the manual. If in some special cases, we may develop training materials to the stakeholders, and we leave them with the training materials so that they continue training others as a component of enhancing sustainability of the program, which is very critical and key. In every project, at least, let's have a proper handover so that at least this particular project can benefit the future generation, at the same time the present. So, and part of it, you can even have some transition team, where part of your project team will remain for even 2 months, trying to do what you call a smooth transition with the local community. But if I tell you are a good project manager, that will not occur because we already started the integrating the locals from day one. They have been there in the entire process during the problem identification. It's their project. So we involved them, even in the implementation. Some of them were hired into the team. And therefore, the concept of remaining with some of my special staff to remain in the project for the transition is not there completely. That simply reflects poor management of the project itself. So if the project is properly managed, the transition into the community taking over the projects will start way back, because we already have what we call sustainability plan. So we adopt that sustainability plan, which will involve integrating the locals into the entire planning, initiation process, implementation process, and they already understand everything. So the very team that were integrated are the ones we shall hand over because they are part of the locals. So they will remain to take over the projects, to be able to pass over the benefits to the local community. So it's done that way. Even if it's water project, maintenance, and all these practices, they have local teams properly trained for that. And the local will start now producing, coming to collect water and producing some small amount of money for the sake of maintaining the water project. Like, was it last year, beginning of last year? There's a water project that we went to do the evaluation. Now, I found a water project which was constructed in 1975, and it's still giving water to date. So I became more interested in inquiring from the local community exactly what do they do. It was constructed by Italian government way back in 1975, and there is water there. So And there's a lot of rust. In terms of those pipes, everything there is rust. So I went to, okay, this still water coming here. Everything is rusty around here. But what have you done to ensure that water you can still get for that long period of time? Then they told me, we count animals. We count animals. So how do you count animals? That families, we need to know how many animals do you have. So if you have 5 animals, we multiply times 100. Every animal, you multiply times 100. Then you bring us that money at the beginning of the year so that we put it in the project's account. So in case of any repair, in case we need to invite engineers, it is the same money that we are going to use to bring in the engineers at least to do for us some repair on this water. This is what we have done, at least for this water to benefit. And then our management is done after every 5 years. 5 people are supposed to assume the management, and then they leave it over. After 5 years, we select new team. So it's like all families have already been involved in managing this water. So the experience of managing the water has been passed to almost all households around there. This is a community that depends on that water for every animals. At the same time, that is the water they're using even for the nearby schools. Children are coming to collect the same water for cleaning classroom, for drinking, for doing all small duties in the school. So the water has taken a very long time, and that's the community, that's component of sustainability. If this one was not properly passed, the concept of counting animals, when did this counting animals start? It started a long time ago. So they count animals. If you have 6, you pay 600. If you have 20, you pay 2,000, because they are multiplied times 1. So what about if a person tells you that he has 20 and in the real fact he has 30? Then no, we normally know, we have to count. And in case you cannot pay, then you give us animal. So that animal that we can sell, and we check to the project account. We have account. We opened account, and that specific account, we get money from the local community every year. So that's how they have been. That's a part of sustainability. Let the community own the project. When they own the project, they will not feel any problem contributing towards it. If they cannot contribute, then you, the people who did the water projects, you will be responsible of maintaining it, and which is not very good, because it's like it is your project, and they will call it your name. They will mount it. This is the World Vision project. Yes. It simply means the integration process of the community with the locals was poor. The project manager failed in having proper integration, local community with the local community with the team that were implementing the project. So let's support people, let's support those people, but then let's try as much as possible that our support does not go in vain. Let's empower the people to take over responsibility of the projects we are doing to them, so that that particular project or benefit of the project can be long-lasting within their generation and generation to come. Like now, look at that water project that was constructed by Italian government next to Mount Kilimanjaro, and still giving water until today. So now look at that. So it simply means the Italian governments did a very good work, and the communities were properly sensitized and given the need for them to get involved in doing what? In taking ownership of the project from day one. And they have done it excellently well. There is no problem. They don't have any conflict, because those are people who are in the Azal areas, arid and semi-arid lands. So they depend on that water for animals and also for domestic use. And they have managed it properly for a very long period of time. And no one has ever supported them to manage that particular water. They even told me that sometimes the engineers are their children. Some of their children who went for the training, and they're the ones that they get involved also to support them to do some repairs of that water point. Okay, now in the close-up stage, we also, it's the point for us to learn what went well, what should have been improved, what else could we learn from the processes that we commissioned, our planning challenges, was planning accurate? So it means the closer is a point for us to learn. Every project has its own lessons that we learn, and we are learning for the sake of tomorrow. We could become better by implementing project 1, project 2, project 3. By experience, you continue becoming better. And that's why it's very important that we, the guys in the ground, we use those projects at least to build ourselves in terms of having more experience. That is the so-called experience come as a result of this. Yeah, you have learned many lessons, and the same lessons you share it with others. Yes. Okay, so apart from celebration and all, doing handing over and developing the manuals, if particularly it was a system program, then we develop the manuals and pass it over to the users, train the users. All the users must be engaged in proper training on how they can utilize the project. It's very important that at least we have a smooth handing over where people are sharing their experiences, the challenges, and we celebrate the winners. Yeah, we are human beings, so we must maintain that we must be able to celebrate our winners who have made it possible for us to succeed. That's the point for us to celebrate them. We give them awards, we give them certificates, and if possible, we even try to sponsor them for even 1 week holiday. They can go for holiday with their families, just for their holidays, for families also to know that your wife or your husband has been one of the best in performing in the project. His effort made us to succeed. Project management system, this is something latest, and we adopt technology in project management, and that simply requires that each and every project manager must be conversant with the technologies involved in his or her area. And in order to manage projects successfully, it is necessary to have systems. A full project management system consists of 7 components. If any one of the 7 components not in place or does not function satisfactorily, then you will have some difficulty managing the project. So these are the systems: human factors, methodologies, the culture. Culture is like how things are being done in that area. Every community you go to, there is what you call their cultural way of doing things. Those are the cultures that you must be able to learn first, appreciate them, and if possible, if there are some cultural constraints that will affect your success, then perhaps now look for the best ways of trying to prevent that particular culture not to hinder what you're going to do. Organization is part of the component of the project. And remember, we have different kinds of project organization. But based on what I want to achieve, at least here is where we are doing what we call aligning task and responsibility, delegating duties and etc., encouraging and promoting people who have succeeded as the manager, planning, information, and then controls process, which involves M&D departments to do for us daily tracking of activities and progress of all those steps. So now I will not talk about the human factors are involved. Project manager must be able to deal effectively with all parts of this subsystem: leadership, negotiation, team building, motivation, communication, and decision making. All are involved in the human factor component of projects. Then methodologies. Methods refer to the tools that you use. Culture and organization affects everything you do. The way they are doing things, very important, because it's difficult for you to break the culture, but it's possible for you to break it using some good practices to infiltrate in between. Okay, planning process, that ones you have already talked. Information control. Okay, key points to remember. Now, the people who must execute the plan should participate in preparing it. These are like hints that will increase your success. The very, very guys who are going to do the implementation, let them be the very guys involved in planning. keep all project documentation in a project notebook, but back it up using electronic database system, if possible. And if you have sensitive materials that you are dealing with, then at least you must also talk about backup systems outside the project zone, where you can simply retrieve in case of any disaster, for the sake of encouraging business continuity and recovery system. Require signatures for changes in scope in order to alert everyone at the impact of the change on the project cost and deadlines, so that if you go back to request for additional resources, they can be able to understand you, all of them. Let them be involved and they know the implication of that change, so that they don't start complaining you have eaten their money. Yeah, project managers, they normally say, anything that person has really eaten our money. Okay, so to avoid such, these are the areas you have to be very smart. Yeah, risk analysis is part of planning. For every risk identified, please develop contingency plan, when possible, on how you can be able to address it. Okay, so from that point, I think we can just simply come to the celebration. This is the celebration of the success of our project. So we normally have what we call to celebrate what exactly we have delivered during close-up. Okay, so far so good. So any question? Any question? Today I've talked as if it was the close of our training. Let me close the recording.